I think the shocking thing to me is not that he flies commercial. There's a lot of people that fly commercial, and people even with a jet that will fly commercial. I think the most shocking thing about it all is that it's how it looked. You know, it's not like he was flying with his team. It's not like he was flying with security. It looks like it's just Rick Ross randomly in a goddamn third world country airport sitting down waiting for a flight, and that sticks out beyond belief. Where's your assistant? Where's your right-hand man? Where's your security? Where's the people you normally would fly on the jet with? That was kind of like shocking. Him coming back around and say, oh, his plane was getting Starlink, this and third. I don't think he needs to even say that. The reality is, whether he's telling the truth about that or not, I don't see a problem with him trying to either save some money. Keep in mind, I don't know if you know about that particular jet. The cost of fuel, or let's say he had to charter a jet.
I'm lying, I'm flying economy, hand me a motherfucking seat. If I'm lying, I'm flying economy, I bet I know who I see. That's why it's a big deal. This nigga Drake already told niggas, hey, this nigga Rick Ross be taking commercial flights, my nigga. He talks all this shit about being the biggest boss, Ricky Rose. He claims he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? He claims he has a private jet. And the whole time this nigga pump faking, bro. The whole time this nigga taking a regular commercial Spirit flight, my nigga. This nigga was flying on Spirit, nigga. And I thought Spirit went out of business. But the reason why people are making a big deal out of this is because we've seen Rick Ross on multiple times make fun of people for going bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? When he was beefing with 50 Cent, he was clowning 50 Cent for going bankrupt. He claims 50 Cent went broke, right? But when you look at 50 Cent on his social media, every time 50 Cent is on a plane, it's a private jet. I don't think we've ever seen 50 Cent on a commercial flight before, chat. Since 50 Cent blew up in the early 2000s, have we ever seen a picture or video of 50 Cent on a commercial flight, chat? I haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you beefing with Drake. You talking all this shit about Drake, right? You downplaying his album. But Drake dissed you on his album, right? Basically called you out for basically most of your number one hit songs is with Drake on it. And now we found out that Drake was talking about you taking commercial flights. So you pretty much proved Drake right, bruh. Now we know who Drake was talking about when he said that line, and you proved everybody right. You know what I'm saying? Now we know Rick Ross is a successful businessman. He owns multiple Wingstop franchises. He owns multiple Checkers franchises. But I don't think Rick Ross is making that much money off of music anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like music-wise, Rick Ross is like damn near irrelevant. Like if Rick Ross drops an album today, chat, I don't think it even does 50K first week, my nigga.
Yo, you know there's other jets, right? People like, yo, the one thing he's forgetting in trying to explain the story is that, okay, your jet's in the shop, because people are saying it was giving that energy. Oh, my car in the shop ass nigga. Okay, his car's in the shop, or his jet in the shop. Well, you could get another jet. You could rent a jet. Well, going from Miami to Colombia, one way is going to cost, if we're getting a comparable jet, around like $35,000, $40,000. So he's going to be spending about $40,000 just for that flight, or maybe even more. It might be even $50,000, because Colombia is a long way. So a one-way trip would be $50,000 or $40,000, and if you're going back and forth on some other jet that's comparable, that's $100,000. So I could see why he's just doing this, saving money. The flight probably costs, who knows, $2,000, $3,000.
See, that's what Rick Ross should have just said, bruh. This reminds me when 50 Cent and Trick Daddy exposed Rick Ross for being a former CO. A CO is a correctional officer, right? Because Rick Ross, when he first came out, he was basically claiming to be the biggest drug kingpin in Miami. He claims that he was selling boatloads of cocaine, you know what I'm saying? Well, we all know he was cosplaying the real Rick Ross, the freeway Rick Ross, who's from, I believe he's from California, you know what I'm saying? But when that got exposed, Rick Ross basically came out and said that it was AI. And I don't even think AI was a thing back then, chat, but Rick Ross was basically saying that it was photoshopped. It wasn't real, right? Because they had the whole pictures of this nigga in the police outfit. Nigga had a little mini afro. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga had no beard back then. Nigga had the bare face, because you know when you a cop, you can't have a beard. You know what I'm saying? But years after that, he finally came out and admitted that he was a CO. And he basically lied and said, oh, you know, he was a CO because he was helping all of his homies that was locked up. You know what I'm saying? That's what Rick Ross does, bro. Like, when he gets exposed, instead of just being a man and just admitting and just owning up to it, he just keeps lying. And you know what they say, chat? When you lie, you got to keep making more lies. So this fan that exposed Rick Ross of flying on a commercial flight, Rick Ross's excuse is, oh, the reason why I wasn't on my private jet is because they're putting Starlink on my private jet right now. Chat, does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe that the reason why Rick Ross wasn't on his private jet is because they're putting Starlink on it? No. Rick Ross, the reality of the situation is, my nigga, you don't own a private jet. You rent out private jets. And the day that you're supposed to go to Colombia, they probably were charging you too much money. Maybe the private jet that you usually use, maybe somebody else was using it. Maybe it was rented out. So you had to take a regular commercial airplane flight, and that's fine, my nigga. But just come out and say that, my nigga. But because Drake posted a video shooting a music video in Turks and Caicos, and he had his Air Drake private jet right behind him, see, Rick Ross is trying to keep up with the Joneses. We already know Rick Ross got money, but Rick Ross is trying to prove to people that he's in the same league of multi-millionaires like Diddy, Drake, Kanye West, Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to keep up with them niggas, and it's like, for what? For what? Like, no disrespect to Rick Ross, but musically, you're not even on the level of those rappers. Like, you're not on the level of a Jay-Z. You're not on the level of a Drake. You're not on the level of a Kanye West. You're not on the level of a motherfucking Dr. Dre, bruh. You know, you are one of the, you are a successful rapper. You are a successful mainstream rapper. Rick Ross is probably, next to Kodak, the biggest Florida rapper. I would say Kodak, Plies, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have Rick Ross up there. But it's like, Rick Ross, you ain't got nothing to prove to nobody, bro. But like I said, when you talk that talk, when you want to call niggas out for going bankrupt and shit, now you gotta live up to the perception that you putting out there for the fans.
Probably still be enjoying himself. However, at the end of the day, you know, whether it's jets in the shop or not, he gets to save some money. I don't think there's a problem with that. And the mere fact that I think he's handling it wrong, because you have people that don't have a jet laughing at him. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about rappers, right? And it's because he also talks his bullshit a lot too, like boss, you know what I mean? So people are expecting this not to be him. He looks a little bit ashamed. That's the problem in all of this. But do I see a problem with him flying commercial?
Hey, chat, you can tell that Rick Ross didn't want anybody to notice that he was flying commercial, bro. This nigga had a hoodie on. This nigga had shades on, right? Like, you could tell that he basically tried to wear a disguise to see if anybody, like, to see if nobody would recognize him. And the minute that somebody recognized who he was, that person that took the picture of Rick Ross at the airport, my nigga, Rick Ross was looking that nigga directly in the eyes like, oh shit, they caught me. Like, hey, bruh, at that moment, he knew he fucked up. When Rick Ross seen a picture of that nigga, when Rick Ross seen that nigga taking a picture of him at the airport, he knew he was done, bruh. He knew he was gonna get exposed, bruh. Because he clapped back quick, bruh. He made a video responding to this shit like the same day it came out. And the first thing he did was make an excuse. Oh yeah, I went to go to Colombia to party with Trick Daddy. My private jet is getting Starlink on it right now. Yeah, Elon and them, they putting Starlink on my private jet. Yeah, man, but Rick Ross, man, he claims he's the biggest boss. You know what I'm saying? He makes fun of niggas, his financial issues, you feel me? And Rick Ross lives he has a very luxurious lifestyle, right? Every time you see him on Instagram, he's always showing off his wealth, you know what I'm saying? Which is dope. I think it's inspirational, right? But once again, You on Instagram showing off all your cars. You know, Rick Ross does the car show thing, which I think is really dope. You know, you see him spotted at his Star Island crib that he got in the same neighborhood as Diddy, Free Diddy, you know what I'm saying? You know, and he's always, you know, talking about money and shit. So, you know, when you an artist that puts out that perception, bruh, you can't get mad when the fans catch you not looking like you not living up to what you saying that you is, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and y'all already know, bro. Y'all already know Drake is gonna be petty about this. Whenever Drake new album come out, chat, you already know Drake is gonna talk about this shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? You already know 50 Cent is gonna talk about this shit on Instagram, bro. Cause like I said, the nigga that he was calling broke, 50 Cent, chat, go to 50 Cent's Instagram right now. You will find hundreds of pictures and videos of 50 Cent going on private. 50 Cent don't fly commercial, bruh. Like, I actually think 50 Cent probably owns a private jet. He either has a really good deal with whoever he rents jets from, or he probably owns a private jet. Like, maybe, because, you know, 50 Cent at one point was worth, like, I think over 300 million. And he lost it because of lawsuits and bad investments and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But he might still have a private jet that he had from the early 2000s. Because, like I said, this nigga 50 Cent is posting videos and pictures every single week walking onto a private jet. So there's a possibility that 50 Cent is he probably was always richer than Rick Ross. Because there's plenty of millionaires that file bankruptcy that aren't broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the president filed bankruptcy multiple times. He's a fucking billionaire. You know what I'm saying? So just because you filed bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean that you're broke. You're just protecting your assets, bruh. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to 50, man. Shout out to Rick Ross. Shout out to Big Act, man. Hey, Rick Ross, bruh. Stop trying to prove to people, bruh. You don't got nothing to prove, my nigga. You 50-something years old. You done been in a rap game for a very long time. We know you're not broke. There's nothing wrong with flying commercial, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of celebrities that fly commercials. Shannon Sharp, who got one of the biggest podcasts in the world, Club Shay Shay, that nigga flies commercial. We seen a video with that nigga and his little poodle dog, nigga, walking across the airport, nigga. Ain't nothing wrong with flying commercial, my nigga. Everybody doesn't want to fuck off a couple $100,000 taking private jets just to look rich. You only up in the air for a couple hours, my nigga. So it's your boy Days. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video, click that hype button for your boy. But most importantly, let me know what y'all boys think about this in the comment section. I'm out.